Okay, we have reached the bottom of the hour, so let's get started with today's L10 webinar, Accelerating Training with AI, Insights and Results from Life Sciences Leaders, sponsored by Quantified. My name is Tim Sosby. I'm Editorial Director for L10. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to our program and to serve as a host of our webinar, and I'm going to start that with some housekeeping items. We're planning a 30-minute session for you today. You notice that your phones are on mute, but we'd love to hear from you throughout today's webinar. You found the questions window earlier, so we'll ask you to use that throughout today's webinar. Any questions, any comments, please type them in as they come up. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll get to your questions as quickly as we can today. Now, also on that control panel, I wanted to point out the handouts window. There are a couple of handouts in there you may wish to download. There's a copy of today's presentation slides there, and also a checklist from our sponsors, Quantified. You can download both of those. Just highlight the title, and the system will walk you through downloading to your desktop. And if you have any troubles with that, my email address is showing here. I'll share it later in today's program as well. I can always connect you with the handouts offline as well. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand on the L10 Self-Directed Learning Library on the L10 website. I'm going to share an address with you later in today's program. I'm also going to send you a follow-up email about an hour after today's webinar ends with the direct link to the recording. So either through the L10 website or through that email, you'll be able to access today's recording, and certainly feel free to share with your colleagues. And speaking of sharing, as you leave today, a follow-up survey will appear on a separate browser window. Please do look for that survey when you leave today and quickly share your thoughts with us. We always appreciate your feedback. And again, there's my email address. I'll share that later today as well. If I can help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with today's program, Accelerating Training with AI, Insights and Results from Life Sciences Leaders, sponsored by Quantified. I'm going to turn things over to our speakers now. You're going to be hearing from Hallie Porterfield. Hallie is Vice President of Customer Experience for Quantified, and Becky Susko. Becky is Marketing Manager for Quantified. Hallie and Becky, thanks for joining us today.
No, thank you for having us. We're super excited to be here. Thank you all for joining us as well. Let's jump right into the presentation. Awesome. So today we're going to be covering the urgency of AI adoption and field force training. We're going to go over some real-world success stories, and then we're going to go over facilitating AI adoption in your organization. We're going to try to quickly go through these so we can get to a Q&A session at the end, and then we're going to just do a quick recap and obviously get you ready and get you started. So the urgency of AI adoption and field force training. So AI is obviously revolutionizing the industry, right? Rapid advancements in AI are transforming life sciences training. All of you know that, right? You wouldn't be here without that thought. So early adoption is critical to stay competitive in a fast evolving market. So we did a recent survey and 53% of respondents believe that life sciences training is beyond early adopter stage of terms of AI. So what we're seeing in terms of trends is there's a high demand for personalized learning. So aligning your field force needs with AI-driven solutions. Preaching to the choir here, I'm sure, but field force teams need tailored learning tracks, adaptive training, product development messaging, staying compliant, on-demand practice opportunities, and actionable insights. AI-driven platforms can deliver on personalized learning paths, real-time feedback, expert content creation, consistent messaging, on-demand practice, and advanced analytics and insights. So some of the benefits of AI-driven training solutions, it increases scalability, it helps with the cost effectiveness and efficiency, and it helps enhance learner engagement, and it also provides data-driven insights, which is super helpful. So I'm gonna send this over to Hallie to really get into the meat of this presentation and get into her case studies.
Yeah, thanks, Becky. You hit on so many crucial components of AI and why organizations are adopting it, and I'm really excited to share some real-life examples of kind of two customers who deployed our AI simulator for all the reasons that Becky just mentioned. So let's dive into the first. You know, we all know that the certification process for pharma organizations is really important and often really difficult. Every day between FDA approval and sales readiness has a huge cost associated with it. Time is really of the essence. Sanofi was taking a brand new RSV vaccine to market and wanted to find a way to tackle and really improve the certification process for their field force. They were working with large numbers, around 500 reps to train and certify, and yet a very small number of trainers to do so. And the time needed to certify each rep was really meaningful, around 15 minutes per person, which across a group of 500 is a significant time investment, but time for training was also being reduced. One solution could have been to add trainers or add humans, but that would really have only reduced quality control. And overall, it was just a highly repetitive, time-consuming process without a whole lot of consistency. So let's hear from our partner at Sanofi, Chrissy Richards, who was Director of Commercial Training at the time, and she really spearheaded these efforts.
We wanted to give time to our trainers to build more engaging, more immersive training. We wanted our learners to have time to really practice and hone their skills in their setting. And then we didn't just want to give that certification process to the managers, because we really wanted our managers' time spent coaching. So if we had this, we really thought we would have a super successful launch to a brand new product this year. But like any other launch, you can imagine, we didn't have a lot of time on our hands.
Great. So, Chrissy summed up the challenge that they were up against. She summed it up really nicely. And we heard her perspective. What did trainees think kind of prior going into using the simulator? What was their feedback of existing certification processes? As important as certification is, reps just often aren't a fan. They know they need it. It's part of their job. They just get really frustrated with the process. And we heard this in qualitative feedback going into this initiative. Reps commented on the chaos of certification, the wasted time waiting to certify. And of course, learners aren't the only ones who get frustrated. Because the process is difficult, trainers don't get to spend as much time training. And of course, managers don't feel like they have enough time to coach. And this was the situation that Sanofi was confronted with, and the hurdle they were trying to get past as they sought out an AI solution. So what was the solution? Enter Quantified and our simulator. Every rep got access to our platform. We deployed a virtual coach who you see there, Victoria. She helped learners through the process. And then our virtual certifier, Dr. Natalie White, who guided reps through practice sessions and then ultimately through the certification itself. So in addition to helping speed up certification, the simulator provides completely objective scoring against a rubric, really removing any subjectivity that even the best training leaders have to work really hard to eliminate. And no human trainers were needed to certify reps, but there was still full transparency into how reps were doing with certification provided by reporting in the platform. So what was the end result? How did this go? Again, let's hear Chrissy's take on this.
There was no training interaction during the certification process. All of that interaction was up front with us building the rubric the same way we would build any certification rubric. It was super easy to use for the learners. Very important to us, it gave us the ability to have that consistent feedback. We knew that at any time, if someone went in to certify, they were getting the exact same feedback as their peers. That feedback was also accessible directly after the fact, not only to the learner, but also to their manager, so that the managers were able to start coaching right away. With all of this, had a very quick turnaround time. We were able to make changes almost on the spot, and we were able to successfully launch this right when we received our FDA licensure in July.
Great. So we heard from Chrissy. Once again, let's hear from the reps, or excuse me, before we hear from the reps, let's look at some very high level results. Chrissy mentioned the scalability, the objectivity, the transparency of results. But kind of overall, what was the impact this had? All 500 reps were trained and deployed speedily. It took on average only 12 minutes to certify. Again, they were doing that completely on their own in the platform. And this led to a significant reduction in time to market. And there was a measurable increase in proficiency and mastery of the material that was measured in the simulator itself. And feedback from the reps. Learners found the process streamlined, faster, less frustrating. They commented that it was less stressful, easy, provided ample opportunity to practice, built confidence, ultimately was just far more efficient and accurate. So moving out of kind of this product launch, this big certification, another case study that we want to offer is around onboarding. So onboarding new hires into an organization. And similar to certification, of course, onboarding new hires has a lot of challenges, waves of trainees going through the process, so therefore wanting to create a consistent process across classes. But getting new hires up to speed, trained well and deployed quickly is crucial. Again, there's a limited number of trainers. The length of time for training is constantly being reduced. And during this intensive period, everyone has a ton on their plate, and new hires often have too many, often conflicting priorities. They need to hit the ground running, but they also need to be trained well and really know their stuff if they're going to be successful in the field. So in the case of new hire training, the simulator was offered as a practice tool to help new hires practice verbalizing product information and prepare for their new hire certification. Of course, the question with any technology like this is always going to be, if we give them this, if we invest in this, is it even going to be used? And what's incredible is that we saw such fantastic engagement. Over 3/4 of the class engaged with the simulator, often repeatedly. We saw over 400 practices across the group. For the first time ever, there was clear data around not only engagement, but also mastery of the content, and those new hires who were consistently showing mastery through high scores. So let's look at average practice time, right? We know they used the simulator, but did they just check the box, or did they actually really work at it? Prior to having the simulator, new hires were only allocated a few minutes to spend practicing with a trainer and kind of hope it was enough. There just wasn't enough time for that one-on-one practice or role play, and truly, role play is not fun for anyone, right? And now they had a practice tool at their disposal to engage with anytime, anywhere in the safety of their home. And what we saw was new hires practicing on average 20 times and engaging with a simulator for anywhere between 1 to 3 hours, working on that key messaging, making sure they knew their stuff. This is the exact behavior that we want in our new hires, but even if we mandated it, there's just not enough trainers to facilitate this level of practice, nor do we have any visibility into how much reps are practicing in their own time, if they even have any downtime to practice. Moving from quantity to quality. We know that reps engaged and really worked hard at practicing, but did it make a difference? Did it increase competency, mastery, retention? And the results suggest that it really did make a difference. The average new hire had 84% improvement, with results far beyond that in oncology, which of course is a critical and complex area. And in this case, what this tells us is that new hires were offered a practice tool to augment training that they really used and used it well and saw great results. So as we wrap up this portion, we want to quickly poll the group, get you all engaged, get your thoughts, because this is some exciting data that we actually were able to collect from the new hires about what they thought and how using this tool boosted their confidence and impacted their scores. So, Becky, I'm going to hand this over to you.
Yeah. So we're super excited about this data, and I have some coffee gift cards on the line for anybody who gets even close, or the closest person, or the first person who gets these numbers correct. So go and find your chat and let us know. What percentage of new hires using Quantified had a boost in confidence? I'll let you do that one first. And let's see.
Oh, we're seeing some numbers come in.
Oh.
So what percent?
Ooh. Looking good, guys, looking good. All right, and then we're gonna ask, what percent of new hires using Quantified said it helped them score higher? Oh, some of you are really close, really impressive. All right, so let's move over to the actual results.
Yeah, nice. I love this. This is fun. Okay, so some of you are spot on. 90% of the new hires said that using the simulator boosted their confidence, which is something that can rarely be measured and seen kind of improved in this big of a way. 91%, so pretty close, agreed that it improved their scores going into verbal assessments, which really kind of goes back to the sense of kind of that mastery, that proficiency of material, and being able to measure that in a way that we never have been able to before. So we've got some winners amongst us. You'll find out after that.
Yeah, we do. Perfect. I'll be emailing those out to the winners, and enjoy a coffee on us. So we're going to move into facilitating AI adoption in your organization, and we're going to give you a nice little structured approach, and we even created a checklist for you to bring back as well. So this is a very internal view of basically the steps that it takes to facilitate AI adoption in your organization. This is something that we've used on our end, and we've seen organizations use properly on their end. But essentially, assess organizational readiness, right? Define your gaps and capabilities, decide who your stakeholders are, define clear objectives. And it's not just to have an objective, right, or a goal in mind, but also a way to align that with the broader business objectives as well. And then develop an implementation plan. So we helped you with that. We created a checklist that covers the 4 phases of the quantified implementation plan. The first phase being the building it out. Second phase is a champion pilot. Third phase, is scale. And phase 4 is just the continuous optimization. We are lucky enough to have Hallie on the call with us today. So I would love for her to give us some insights. Her team oversees the everyday client implementation of Quantified, and kind of give us some more color here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we think about kind of phase 1, building out that simulator experience, this is where we take a really customized approach. What is your organization? What are our customers looking to achieve with our simulator? Is it better preparing new hires? Is it supporting a big product launch? Is it certifying in a whole new way that is far more scalable and consistent? We then design the program in the simulator to meet those needs. So working, just kind of taking any content you have and building a simulator to match that. What's incredible is that, we are able to now turn these around really quickly and get a completely customized product into the hands of our customers in a matter of days, which is fantastic. We typically suggest we start with a smaller group of champions, people that are excited about this technology, who want to test it out, who want to give us feedback. We see that getting this kind of this investment in this kind of champion pilot phase is a great way to proceed a larger scale rollout if we can really get those people who are super excited about this and the impact it could have on an organization. Of course, then, we're prepared, given the scalability of this tool, we're prepared to roll it out across hundreds, thousands of individuals. It is that easy. We think about training, helping people understand the technology, helping them navigate it, what can they expect from it, really working to set our end users, our reps, up for success as they go into engaging with the platform and hopefully having a really great experience. And of course, from there, continuous optimization. How can we make it better? How can we get it into more hands in your organization? How can we find more use cases for it? Always working with and learning from our customers so that we can make the experience better and more impactful.
Awesome. Well, we are at the portion that everybody's been waiting for, the Q&A portion. As you guys are thinking through some of your questions, I will softball one for Hallie. Hallie, one of the questions we get on a regular basis is about security. What is Quantified doing to keep everybody secure and private?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is of course a concern that we get. Whenever we talk about kind of bringing AI into an organization or bringing a tool that captures any data at all. First, I want to say that all data is stored kind of within our ecosystem. Nothing is ever shared outside of Quantified. Beyond that, we are completely enterprise ready, and we work with a number of global organizations who take this very, very seriously. So what I would say is we conform to the highest standards around privacy and security, and anytime any kind of AI vendor is considered, it is crucial that one is selected that is truly enterprise ready and up to those same standards. So that is because that's just something that's so on the mind of so many people.
Definitely. And we do have another question from Lindsay. Lindsay asked, how has it been getting through legal review?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, as you can imagine, that's a great question. We have to go through a lot of legal review. And typically what we see is that they want to understand what the inputs are and what the outputs are, which is really kind of easy for us to provide and to work with our partners on understanding the best way to provide that. So it's not without its challenges. Of course, it takes time, but we've successfully gotten through many of them. So it's just really understanding kind of how we can best meet the needs of all customers and give them what they need.
Definitely. And we have another question from Denise. They asked, what kind of analytics can we get? And does the learner get immediate feedback and coaching?
Sure, I will provide answers in reverse order. I will say, yeah. Users get automatic feedback. Results are available within about 30 seconds. And so they immediately see how they did. What messages did they hit? What points did they miss? Where do they need to go back and keep practicing? Also, kind of what behaviors did they exhibit? How did they successfully kind of adhere to like an engagement framework or a coaching framework, right? What parts of that framework do they need to work on? Skills, did they show up? Were they were they doing the storytelling? Did they show up as authentic and trustworthy? Like we can look at all of these facets of the conversation and provide feedback on them. And coaching, try this next time. You scored this because, right? That next level of insight that really helps people understand how they're showing up, how they're doing, and then go back to keep practicing. The first part of your question, I will say that the insights we provide are largely going to be around kind of what I just mentioned, kind of reporting on capabilities, but also, how many users are engaging, how often, what are they scoring, and we're really building out that portion as we speak, because the level of insights that we could potentially provide are endless, which is really amazing and powerful.
Yeah. Got another question from Mel. They asked, on your example of onboarding and average improvement, how did you evaluate compare to it previously? So what was it compared to? It says, I believe it is the example on the simulator from onboarding.
Amanda, a little clarification. Say that question one more time, Becky.
So it looks like they're asking what we compared the average improvement to.
So that will be when an individual starts practicing versus, so in the simulator versus when they end. So what improvement do they see through mastering the content in a simulator?
Perfect. So we've got a lot of questions, you guys. Really impressive.
Love it.
Yeah. Let's see. Somebody asked if we're going to show the demo. Unfortunately, we are up on time and we won't be showing a demo today, but you can go to quantified.ai and schedule one and we will do one for you. Are there any hallucinations? Well, I'll have to get back to you on that one. You know what? There's several questions in here, but for time's sake, what we're going to do is I'm going to take all those questions and then I will respond back out to you guys with the answers to make sure that I cover them correctly in the follow-up email. So your answers are coming, but we're going to move on and wrap it up real quick because I don't want to hold you guys too long today. Perfect. So recap, next steps. We covered AI's urgency. We did some success stories for you. We gave you a structured approach with a checklist included. Next steps, explore quantified solutions, right? So visit our site and figure out more about AI-driven training platforms that are tailored to your needs. Schedule a demo with us, quantified.ai. And also, I'll be following up with you, recording the checklist. We also are lucky enough to have the deck put into PDF for us today. And like I said, I'll make sure I answer your questions for you as well. I do want to give a big shout out to L10 for hosting us today and having us here. Loved it. And for all of you for attending and keeping pace with us and having great questions for us at the Q&A portion. It was great being here with you guys. And Hallie, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Becky. It's great being here with you all today and hope you enjoyed it.
And I wasn't sure if Tim had anything he wanted to include in the closing as well.
Well, I'll jump back in. Let me jump. First of all, thank both of you, Hallie and Becky. Thank you. Great job for both of you. Appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Folks, I'm seeing some thank you messages come in as well. So that's always nice. Everybody, thank you for sharing as well out there and for being part of today's program. I just wanted to invite everyone to join us for our next webinar. We'll be back here on Friday. This coming Friday, talking about tuning into performance, building a skills training program. That is going to be the last L10 program on the GoToWebinar platform. We are transitioning all our future webinars to the Zoom platform. So I hope you'll join us over on Zoom starting next week with Thursday, August 22nd, our first Zoom program. Can you see me now? How to effectively use video and virtual training. You can find out more about these programs and register at l-10.org/webinars. Here's the address for the Self-Directed Learning Library where today's on-demand recording will be housed. Again, I'm going to share an email with you about an hour from now with a direct link to that recording as well. And finally, there's my email address. If I can help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out. So just let me end with some final thank yous to our speakers today, Becky, Susko, and Hallie Porterfield, our sponsors today, Quantified, and all of you for your time, attention, and participation. Let me wish you all a good rest of your day, a good rest of your week, and we will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.